The original scheme was developed largely by looking at what was already surrounding the property and then how to kind of approach a rather challenging planning application, and that was achieved best, I think, by looking at the existing slate facades nearby and then looking for possibly a more high-end, nicer finish that we could then utilise with a greater spec. It was great to have CUPACLAD on site. They were working with the designers and architects to kind of really see how the slates could be used their best. The Vanguard system was chosen. We then kind of got moved on to Taylor Maxwell, I think, with the distributors for the UK, who were very helpful.
We assisted with providing samples on demand, and we also allowed the architect and the client to use our London Bridge showroom for meetings. So when they wanted to come in and have a look at the product, we have a sample wall in place in the showroom where they could come and have a look and decide that the product was the right for this project.
The benefits of CUPACLAD are that it's a fully tested, certified and BBA approved rain screen cladding system. So in this modern era of certification and qualification, it's really important that we stick and adhere to every single testing method there is, both in the UK and around Europe and indeed around the world. It's also 100% non-combustible, which of course is incredibly important. It's a natural, utilises a natural material as the base material and has a long lifespan of 100+ years.
A lot of the installation issues were resolved beforehand in the design phase. So the architects looked at the shapes and sizes of the slate system and then placed the windows and were able to understand the positionings of the building so that we could end up on site with a relatively straightforward placement of the tiles without having to do too many cuts or having awkward shapes around the sills or the top edges of windows.
We're involved in as much or as little as the architect or the contractor demands, but if they really need our assistance, then we're happy to work with them on everything from conception to completion. So we'll work with the architects in that very first specification meeting all the way through the design process, tender processes, and then on-site visits, installation training if need be, and then follow-up checks as well. And this project was no different.
The installation actually of this was done by not roofers but just carpenters. We saw that the installation guide lended itself to someone who was used to building internal partitions, installing installation, and once the rails and stuff were set out, it was relatively quite a simple procedure of just manually handling, getting them up into position and using the 201 Vanguard system to just keep them into place. They're a natural product, they're nice to work with, you're not having to handle COSH sheets to deal with dangerous materials, you don't have to worry about where you're storing them. And also our company does a lot of demolition, so we see a huge amount of waste in the industry. And when you're working with slates, you know that if it's going to go to landfill or be crushed up, it's a natural product that's not going to do any harm to the environment. Which is, reassuring really.
So I think the product looks really great in situ on the building. I think it works really well with the other products that are also installed, so the black aluminium window framing, the glazing and also the timber.
They've installed it to a really fine detail, and that's something we take real pride in at Cooper, is that our projects were installed to a high standard. It's okay having a great product, but it needs to be installed really well as well.
Since completion, everyone's looked at the slates and seen the interesting feature of the tiny little silver clips that just give a nice pinstripe effect to the building and really help it to stand out. You don't see that often on other slate facades.